Good morning, students. This is Professor Eknath Ahire from Divine College of Pharmacy, Satana, Department of Pharmaceutics. Students, today we are going to start with new topic from pharmaceutical jurisprudence, which is Pharmacy Act 1948. Okay. So before starting the today's lecture, we will go with motivational quote, which is when you feel like quitting, think about why you started. So, when you feel like uh, this will not happen with me, so just feel about it or just think about it why you started for that. Okay, so you will definitely get the answer and you will getting motivated by that you are starting or the purpose of starting. So, with this beautiful quote, we will start today's lecture. First of all, we will we will see the introduction part of Pharmacy Act 1948. In that, uh, what will we're going to see, which is objectives, definitions, Pharmacy Council of India, or we can say PCI, and its contribution and its functions in our profession or pharmacy profession. Then different pharmacy related education regulations or rules, then state and joint state pharmacy councils, then registration of pharmacist and related or the pharmacy related offenses and different penalties if anybody violates the rule. Okay, so let's start with introduction part. So uh, you already seen about recommendations by DEC committee, which is Drug Equity Committee, and as per their suggestion, this uh, Pharmacy Act 1948 is constituted uh, or came in force with the reference of the Drug Equity Committee, as well as the recommendations suggested by Health Survey and Development Committee, and with recommendations of that different committees. The Pharmacy Act came into force in 4th of March 1948. So this Pharmacy Act is actually came in force or applied in 4th of March or from 4th of March 1948. So these are the some major objectives of this act or the Pharmacy Act 1948, which are to regulate the pharmacy profession and practice and to raise the status of pharmacy in India. As you already know, or we already discussed in history part. So there is no specific profession regarding the pharmacy. So first time in India they introduced the pharmacy education, and for their control or pharmacy education control, this Pharmacy Act 1948 is introduced. Second objective is Constitution of Pharmacy Council of India, or we can say PCI. Nowadays, we can observe that all pharmacy related rules and regulations are governed by the PCI or PCI committee, and it is responsible for involving educational standards and regulations for the course in pharmacy and throughout the pharmacy education regulations. Next objective is Constitution of State Pharmacy Council of India for registration of pharmacists and for regulating their professional activities. So these are the major objectives of Pharmacy Act 1948. So here some of definitions are there which are generally used in the Pharmacy Act 1948. So for the better understanding or for this purpose, let's see the different definitions used in the Pharmacy Act 1948. First definition is Central Council. So Central Council means the Pharmacy Council of India, or we can say the PCI. The Central Register. The register of pharmacists maintained by the Central Council is called as Central Register. Next one is registered pharmacist. So who will be the registered pharmacist? So a person whose name for time being entered in the register of pharmacist of the state in which he is for the time being residing or caring or the carrying sorry or carrying on his profession or business of pharmacy. That person is known as registered pharmacist. So a person who is responsible for or the carrying particular pharmacy profession which is known as pharmacist, or we can say registered pharmacist. Next definition is University Grant Commission, or we can say UGC. It means the University Grant Commission established under Section 4 of the University Grant Commission Act 1956 is known as University Grant Commission or UGC. Next definition is Indian University. So it is defined as means a university within the meaning of Section 3 of the UGC Act 1956 and includes such other institutions established by or under a central act as the central government may by notification in the official gazette specify in this behalf. So next definition is repatriate. So who are the repatriate? So any person of Indian origin who on account of civil disturbances in area now forming part of Burma, Sri Lanka or Uganda or any other country has after the 14th day of April 1957 left or has been displaced from his place of residence in such area and who has since then been residing in India are known as repatriate. Next definition is displaced person. So who will be the displaced person? So person who on account of setting up of the domination of India and Pakistan or on account of the civil disturbances or the fear of such disturbances in area now forming part of Pakistan has on or after the first day of March 1947 left or been displaced from his place of residence in such area and who has then uh, since then been residing in India is known it will be known as displaced person. So due to of the India Pakistan uh, disturbances or any type of civil disturbances, any person displaced from their own place into the uh, or uh, wherever the another place, that person is called as displaced person. So or we can say any person who on account of the civil disturbances or the fear of such disturbances in any area now forming a part of Bangladesh has after 14th day of April 1957, but before the 25th day of March 1971, left or has been displaced from his place of residence in a such area and who has since then been residing in India is that person also known as displaced person. This is regarding to Bangladesh, and that one is regarding to the Pakistan. Next definition is medical practitioner. So who will be the medical practitioner? So a person holding qualifications granted by an authority specified or notified under Section 3 of Indian Medical Degrees Act 1916 or specified in the schedule to the Indian Medical Council Act 1956 is known as medical practitioner. This is related to human practice, or, or the related to the humans. So next one is related to the animals. Okay. So a person registered or eligible for registration in an medical uh, medical register of the state meant for the registration of a person practicing modern scientific medicine system, or the scientific system of medicine is person, or that person is called as medical practitioner or the registered medical practitioner. Then also some uh, other definitions are there. So a person registered in a medical register of the state who, although not falling within subclause A or B, is declared by a general or specific order made by state government in this behalf as a person practicing the modern scientific system of medicine for the purpose of this act. So that person who is not follow the clause A and B, which is follow the or falls under the clause C. So next definition is clause D. So a person who is engaged in the practice of veterinary medicine or related to the animal practice, and who has uh, possess qualification approved by state government are also called as medical practitioner. So definition part is ended over here, and after that we will start with next topic is the Pharmacy Council of India, or the PCI. So what is the PCI and what will be the constitution of PCI? Let's see. So the PCI is constituted under Section 3 of the Chapter 1 by the central government. Then the first Pharmacy Council of India, or the PCI, constituted by the central government in 1949, and it is constituted every 5 years. Okay, so PCI is constituted every 5 years, or newly framed in every 5 years. So you should know about it. It consists of three different type of members. So first one is elected members, second one are nominated members, and third one are ex officio members. So let's see in detail regarding these members. So first members are elected members. So who are they? So 6 members are teachers elected by University Grant Commission or UGC. There is at least one teacher of each subject in pharmacy, pharmaceutical chemistry, pharmacognosy, and pharmacology. Next one is one member elected by Medical Council of India. Next member is one member from each state elected by state council, who shall be a registered pharmacist. So these are the related to elected members. So three different type of elected members are there. Next is nominated members. So who are they, or which are the nominated members? So six members nominated by the central government, of whom at least pro, uh, four shall be uh, possessing a degree or the diploma in pharmacy and practicing pharmacy or pharmaceutical chemistry. Second type of member is a representative of the UGC or the University Grant Commission. Third one person is a representative of the All India Council for Technical Education, or we can say AICTE. Then next member is one member from each state nominated by state government, who shall be a registered pharmacist. So uh, with this all members, the nominated members are appointed over there. So next members are ex officio members. So who are they? So first member in ex officio member is the drug general uh, drugs general of India, or we can say drug general of India is the first ex officio member is there. Then second one is drug controller of India, and third one is director of the Central Drug Laboratory. So with these three members, ex officio members are appointed over there. So apart from this constitution, some executive committee also there, and executive uh, committee contains one president, then vice president, then five other members elected by central council from its members. Apart from this, the council also appoints a registrar or the secretary for the registration purpose or the different documentary purpose. Then other officers and servants for carrying out its statutory functions or the regular functions. So president and vice president of the central council. So these are the person who are elected by the members of the council among themselves. The president or the vice president shall hold office as such for a term not exceeding 5 years and not extending beyond the expiry of his term as member of the central council. He shall be eligible for re-election also. So mode of election. So elections under this chapter shall be conducted in the prescribed manner, and where any dispute arises regarding any such election, it shall be referred to the central government, whose decision shall be final. So this is related to president and vice president election and appointment. Next is term of office and casual vacancies. So which type of vacancies are there, as well as for the how many years, or how many years the members will hold that particular office. So let's see. Subject to the provisions of this section, a nominated or elected members shall hold office for a term of 5 years from the date of his nomination or election, or until his successor has been duly nominated or elected, whichever is longer. So mostly they are holding their positions for 5 years, or in some cases this will be reduced or increased also. A nominated or elected members may at any time resign his membership by writing under his hand addressed to the president, and the seat of such members becomes vacant. Then, if it is vacant, then a nominated or elected member shall be deemed to have vacated his seats if he is absent without excuse from three consecutive meetings of the Central Council. So, any of the member of this committee is uh, absent for consecutive three meetings, then it will be liable for the cancel of his membership. Then a casual vacancy in the Central Council shall be filled by fresh nomination or election, and the person nominated or elected to fill the vacancy shall hold office only for the remainder of the term. The members of the Central Council shall be eligible for re-nomination or re-election. So, with this, we will see the remaining part in next session. Up to here, you have to revise it, and remaining part we will discuss in next session. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.